Good morning. This is Chris and Barbara.
Good morning.
At Artistic Artifacts this morning. Judy's sunning herself down at the beach, so we're standing in for her today, and we'll do just fine. She's resting up to open that $9.90 box that was delivered this week, so she needs all the strength she can have to open that big box of magic next week. So we'll have the unboxing when she gets back. So yeah.
So keep up with our Facebook page and our newsletter, and you'll get all the information to see the unboxing.
So Barbara's going to talk today about the two feet that it's the 70 and the 71, which are the Bernina accessories of the month. We'll put links at the end of all the things we talk about today. And those are on sale at 25% off this month. And we do save the video. If you tune in late, you can find it on Facebook, and in a couple days you can find it on our YouTube channel. So before Barbara gets started, we always have announcements, and I've got a few to do today, and then we're going to have the drawing for the Shop Hop drawing before Barbara gets started.
Okay.
So big announcements. We have a Zoom class coming up next Thursday evening with Andy, who's now becoming one of our Bernina educators. And he'll be doing a Zoom class. If the time doesn't work for you, if you register for the class, you will get a recording of the video. And he's going to show you how to digitalize your embroidery files. A simple, easy way to do it. So I think it's maybe an hour and a half Zoom video. You can take it from anywhere, so you don't have to be one of our local Bernina customers to take that. And he's an awesome teacher. He's just amazing.
He is.
The next event we have is our Bernina 990 Roadshow, and that's on August 5th. So yeah, we'll do the unboxing, and we'll probably get the machine out on the floor, but if you're at all interested, sign up for that. It's a 3-hour event on a Monday, August 5th. It's from 1 to 4. We have a Bernina educator, Mary Beck, coming to really show us the highlights, the features. It's some video. The machine will be there. She'll be doing some demos. You can get it up close and personal to actually see the machine for, one of the first times. So we're really excited.
Very excited, yes.
She's going to be here in the morning to teach the staff, and then we'll do sign-ups, people registering for that event. And the registration is minimal, and it's really to let us know how many people are coming. And we'll have, because it's a Monday, we'll actually have shopping for 20% off of the majority of things in the store.
Nice.
For those who show up for that event.
Yeah.
We'll have a Tilda trunk show at the end of August, beginning of September, with some quilts from Tilda using the new Creating Memories line. We just got notified of the dates yesterday, so we have to plan the event. And then watch your Monday Did You Miss This newsletter, because we have a very special announcement in that newsletter that you won't want to miss. So I saw what the newsletter has in it, and it's pretty special. So you'll definitely want to look for your Did You Miss This newsletter from us on Monday. And if you don't get our newsletter, sign up, go on the website and sign up. So before Barbara starts, I want to do the drawing. We had so many people filled out the forms this week because we had 2 buses come in, that we decided we would do 3 drawings for the $50 gift card.
Very
so
nice. Ooh, I get to pick one?
Pick one.
One. Okay.
All right.
All right. And this is Mrs. Linda Henson, Henson, from Olney, Maryland. So congratulations, Linda.
And then I believe because we have all the information,
we'll be sending an email.
We don't have her email address, so we'll figure out how to get in touch with her. And hopefully Linda's watching this morning and she'll contact us directly. Let's do one more here.
Okay, go around this side this time. Right, you and out.
All right. This is Janine Dade. She's from Annandale. And she heard about us through word of mouth and online, and she's a Bernina and a Wonderfeld fan. So that's good for her.
Get a bottom one.
Okay.
All right.
You can see there's lots of them in here.
All right.
We've been very busy this week.
Taylor Mirachi from Souderton, Pennsylvania. And this was her first time shopping with us. So thanks for coming. I would assume she might have been on one of those buses if it's from Soudertown, because I think that's outside of it. The Bobbin and Bolt was the sponsor of the bus trips, and they're up in one is in
Richmond and
one's Richmond and one's Philadelphia. Yeah. So okay. Well,
congratulations, ladies.
And now Barbara's going to educate us today.
All right. So as Chris said, I'm going to talk about the number 70 and 71 feet, which is the accessory of the month. They're 25% off through the end of the month. And these feet create flat felled seams. And if you don't know what a flat felled seam is, just look at probably the pair of jeans you have on right now, or jean shorts in this case, and you will see two parallel lines of stitching. That is created by a flat felled foot. So this foot can be versatile. We have 2 feet because the 70 foot is a 4 millimeter wide, and you use that on lighter weight fabrics. You wouldn't use that for a denim. You might use it for your quilting cotton or something even lighter than that. The 71 foot is an 8 millimeter wide flat felled seam, and that's where you would use it. Your denim, if you're doing a canvas tote bag, something like that, you would use the heavier foot. And this foot, the 71 foot, is also great for binding your quilt. So both of these feet are talked about in our big book of feet. I have the book right here. We love this book here in the store. So it's the big Bernina Big Book of Feet. It tells you wonderful information about every single foot that Bernina makes. It gives you lots of inspiration and alternate ways to use a foot. And this foot, they talk about flat felled seams, heavy top stitching, and binding your quilt. So be sure, if you have an opportunity, to check out this book in the store when you're in next time, because it's my favorite one of the Big Book of Feet, although they're all excellent books. So today, sorry for turning my back to you, these are the 2 feet right here. Kyle, if you can get up to them, and you could see that the 70 foot is a little bit smaller than the 71 foot. And the reason why I wanted Kyle to get up close for us is so you can see the needle hole here in both of the feet is rather wide, and this foot allows you to change the needle position on your machine all the way from -5 to a +5, so that you can get the exact spacing that you're looking for on your seams. And then on the bottom of the feet, they both have a rather wide channel down the bottom of the feet. And that's so that this big, thick, flat felled seam can easily pass through the bottom of the foot. The foot will just glide over it, and you won't get stuck on your own work. So it's a very well thought out and engineered foot, and it works very nicely for the quilt binding. I know there are quilt binding purists that prefer to hand stitch their binding onto the back of their quilt, and that is fabulous, and it makes a lovely finish for your quilt. Personally, I don't have the time or the patience for that, so I tend to sew my binding on by machine. I've tried a number of different methods. If you're out there in YouTube land, there's all kinds of videos suggesting on different ways to bind your quilt. Try a couple of them. You need to find what works for you. So this foot so far for me has worked very well. I find, as with anything, you need to practice. You're not going to be perfect the first time you do it. You have to play with it a little bit to get it just right. And I'm going to talk about a couple of those options as we go along. So I do have a couple of quilts in the store that I bound this way. So if you are local and you're in the store, you can come look at the quilts and see. And Chris, this one's also bound. This is one of them. I used the 71 foot on it. and the applique quilt. But you can, it makes a very professional and neat finish, and I like that a lot. So I'll show you today a little bit on how to do that. So Kyle, I'm going to sit down here and get my foot on. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my foot on, and just a little tip. Any foot that has a hole without a slit to get the thread through, maybe put your thread through first before you put your foot on, because that's a little easier than trying to get your fat thumbs underneath. And then just put your foot on as normal, and you have it all threaded there, and you don't have to try to be threading it through that little hole at this point. I find it easier, so that might be helpful to you. So I have the 71 foot. I have selected the needle down position because that works best with the flat felled seam. I've told my machine it's a 71 foot. I told my machine that I have the 9mm throat plate on. That's the one that you would use for zigzag or wide decorative stitches. I've told it that I'm going to start in the -5 position. So as you can see, this line is pushed all the way over to the left side of the foot, and I'm using the straight stitch. So those are the settings that I use. Now, the hover is a personal preference. I prefer to use the freehand system, the knee lift system. If you prefer to use the hover, you could go in and program your hover to be just a little bit or all the way the height extended. And the way you would do that is with your gears, your stitch icon, your helping hand icon, and then your needle down icon, because you can only do the hover with the needle down. As you can see, there's 3 options here. This is no hover, which I have selected. This is a very small hover, and this is a fully height extended hover. So you have all those options. So please take an opportunity to play with them to see which one works for you, or if the freehand system works better for you. Like I said, I have no hover here, and I'm going to use the freehand system.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you using a 5 or a 9mm plate?
This is a 9mm stitch plate, because this is a 9mm machine. This is the KAFFE 770 machine, and it has 9mm wide feed dogs. So I've started here because I didn't want to bore you all with all this sewing around the edge. So I have my binding here, and I'm sure most of you have all done binding on a quilt. I've cut the binding 2 inches, which is a little bit smaller than perhaps you're used to cutting your binding, but that works well with the opening in this foot. So I would suggest you do 2 inches, then you put wrong sides together and press it. So that's what I have here. I have it folded in half. And I've done 3 of the corners here. So I'm just going to do a little bit around this corner to show you how it works. Now, to just stitch the binding on, I'm stitching it on the back of my quilt, and then I fold it to the front. We do not use the toe wrap for just stitching it on. Here it is just for spacing. So so I'm just going to sew. I have my raw edge lined up with the inside of the right toe here. If you're doing this on your quilt, you might want to use some Wonder Clips. This little small piece is not so necessary, but Wonder Clips are great to keep this all lined up as you're sewing when you have a big long seam on a quilt. And then for the miter, I'm going to show you how I do my mitered corner. I'm going to mark it about 1/4 of an inch in here, and that's where I'm going to stop. One more stitch, and I'm going to back stitch, and then I'm going to cut my stitches. Now I'm going to fold my mitered corner, and you want to be neat with these mitered corners. So I fold it up to a 45 here, and then I'm going to fold it down even with the edge. So there's 2 things I want to be even. I want this top fold to be even with the edge of the quilt, and I want, see, this is not quite even. I want these 2 pieces to be even. I'm going to pull this out a little bit because I want the final product to be nice and even and neat. So I'm going to pull that out just a little bit. All right, and now we're ready to turn around and do the next side.
Any blinking black on my phone.
It's got to be a connection issue, I think. Oh.
All right, so I'm sure all of you know how to join your ends. I think I probably don't need to go through that with you, how to join the ends of your binding. If a lot of you say yes, we'll do that another day.
Barbara,
So
we do have one question.
okay.
Well, first, for if your screen is blinking black, you could have a connection issue. Try refreshing your browser. And what white marker were you using?
This is the Clover chalk marker, and it's white. And I like it because colored chalk has a tiny bit of wax in it and does not always come out of your quilt when you wash it because the wax will set the color. So I only use the white, and I love it because I can just use my fingernail to brush it off, or it always comes out in the wash and I don't have to worry about it. It has a little teeth here where it distributes the chalk. Let's see if I get some on here. You have to shake it some, and it's on the light blue and the white. I'm not sure it's going to show up much on the camera, but it has a little fine teeth. So you get a pretty fine line. So you have nice accuracy with it. And we do sell this here in the store. All right. So on this piece, I've attached my binding, and then I've pressed it out nicely. As you can see, it's nice and flat. So here's where we're going to start to use the 71 foot. So this would be the back of my quilt. And I'm going to put this under the foot using my freehand system. Now here I have this edge here lined up with the left side of my foot.
Is this the front or the back of the quilt?
This would be the front of the quilt. And I have it in the -5 position, just double checking myself. So my needle is moved all the way over to -5. I'm going to use these Bernina tweezers, and I have to tell you, they're the best tweezers ever, and we do sell them in the store. I love them. I use them. I have a pair at each one of my machines because I use them all the time. So as you can see, I just easily wrapped that around the toe of the foot. I'm going to keep all of this even here. It just extends a little bit over my seam line. And I'm going to actually change my needle position now. Let's raise my needle to a 4. I have better results with a -4 than a -5. That helps me not run off the edge on the back of my quilt because I have it a little bit more to the right instead of all the way to the left. And you need to just go slow and easy at first until you learn what works best for you. And I'm just covering up that seam just with a little bit, and then I'm sewing perhaps just a hair to the right of that seam is my goal, so that on the back side my stitches are showing on the binding and not on the quilt. And it does take a little practice. I am not perfect at it by any means, but that's what we're striving for here. And as we get closer to the mitered corner, we're going to go ahead and miter it. All right, so I'm going to miter it starting with this edge. I'm going to turn this edge in first because as I'm sewing, I don't want my foot to have any problems with the edge of that. So this way it gets, it can just easily slide over. All right, I got some dust there from me. Sorry about that. All right, and now you can see I'm going to have to unhook the toe because I can't sew through the mitered corner with the toe with the fabric wrapped around the toe. And we're just going to feed it on through, and I use my tweezers to help guide it and help keep everything straight. I love these tweezers. And I get one stitch right at the edge of the miter, and then I raise my foot enough and turn it a bit. I'm going to do a couple of stitches here. Now you can see this is a long foot, so you could see it's a little bit tilted downhill to the back. So just a tiny bit of pressure with your finger here to get you started will be just fine. And then once you get started, we can wrap this back around. All right. All right, so that is how we do the mitered corners. And I'm going to show you, I completed a couple of samples this morning so you can see how it looks all done. This is not the good one because I ran out of binding on that one. So this one here is completed. You can see the corners turned out nice on the top side, and they all turned out nicely on the back side. It does take a little practice. My mitered corners might not be absolutely perfect show quality, but for me, I'm very happy with these results. They work well for me. All right, is there any questions? Anybody I can help you with? Anything I can help you with?
Nothing so far, actually. Though Chris, at the beginning, did get a compliment on her jacket.
Oh, nice. Okay, and then the foot is actually a flat felled seam foot.
Can I compliment you on your quilting?
Oh, thank you. So this is what I did this morning. This is actually the flat felled seam. And I thought, you know, if you're not making a pair of jeans, I personally would not endeavor to make a pair of jeans. I know there are wonderful garment makers out there in this crowd, and you just might do so. But what if I wanted to use this on some strips? Oh, thank you, Chris. Some strips for Chris's rice bag. She did a beautiful job on this rice bag and did decorative stitches between all her strips. But what if I made this a flat felled seam, and when I was sewing my flat felled seam, maybe I tucked a piece of lace or a piece of rickrack in between each one to give it, instead of doing the decorative stitches like she did here. There's just so many ways you could use this. It doesn't have to be on a pair of jeans. To make a canvas tote, what if you made longer strips and you made a table runner out of it, and you put your favorite color of trim in between the flat felled seam, which is very easy to do. So just wanted to give you a little bit of inspiration and thought for possible uses for the foot. So that's about all I have, unless anybody else has questions here.
No, but Max said you did a great job.
And Andrea said that your videos are so refreshing and great. You would not believe how different we do things in Europe. This is someone who's watching from Switzerland.
Wow.
I learned so much from you. Thank you a lot.
Well, that was very nice.
We do have one question from Meg. She has an older Bernina and does not have the built-in even feed foot for binding. How does one work with the foot?
I'm not sure what she means by even feed foot. Do you mean the dual feed? Is that what you're referring to?
I think that's what she means.
This foot does not use a dual feed. This is not a dual feed foot. I think that's what you're referring to as in the even feed.
I believe that would be the case,
Yes.
yeah.
So you should be able to use, if it's not this foot, we have the older Bernina feet that we still can get most of them, depending on your model. So your local dealer, or if not, we can certainly look into ordering that foot for the model machine that you have.
Okay, Deborah, yes, we do record our video. We'll save it here on Facebook. And then in a couple days, usually by Tuesday, it's on our YouTube channel. And Mary Ryan says, I've had this foot taking up space in my drawer. I think I'm going to use it when I'm binding my next item.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Please give it a try, yes.
And just for those who came in a little late, what was the number of the foot again?
Both feet, we have 2 feet this month. They're flat felled feet. Number 70 for a smaller seam, and number 71 for a thicker fabric and larger seam, and binding your quilt with the number 71 also. And we are fully in stock with these feet, so if you need to order them or stop by the shop if you're local, we can certainly help you. And I'm here today. I'll be glad to give you a quick little demo if you need one.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Barbara.
everybody.
Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Have a great weekend.